The number one mistake people make when moving to Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh is the number one best performing large city in America right now. But around 70 new residents arrive here every day, and most of them do exactly the same thing wrong. I've watched families lose six figures because they don't know what I'm about to share. So today I'm going to tell you what the number one mistake people make when they move to Raleigh. Stay with me because mistake number 5 is the one nobody talks about, and it cost people the most money. Mistake number 8, not taking the opportunity to buy a home. 6 figures is what hesitation costs you in this market. People move to Raleigh and they wait to buy, and by the time they're ready, they've missed out on $50,000 to $100,000 worth of equity. I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen this happen over and over again. Someone will be looking at a house at one price, decide they need more time to learn the area, and that same house goes up in value while they're waiting and maybe renting. And now here's what most people don't understand. Raleigh isn't just growing, it's booming. The Milken Institute named Raleigh the number one best performing large city in 2025. We're only one of 4 markets in the entire country still in a boom cycle, while most other cities are flat or failing. And later we'll talk about specific neighborhoods that you'll see price gaps that could double this equity loss if you pick the wrong neighborhood. So when people ask me what the biggest mistake is, it's not buying when you have the chance. I get it. Moving is overwhelming. You're learning a new city, maybe starting a new job, getting used to a new routine. Committing to a mortgage feels like a lot. But with roughly 70 new residents arriving in Wake County every single day, demand isn't slowing down. Every month you wait, somebody else is building equity that could have been yours. So now let's talk about where this gets even more interesting. Mistake number 7 is ignoring future growth areas. Homes sold jumped 31% while prices dropped 10%. Now that's not contradictory, that's an opportunity. This ties right into the last mistake, because if you're going to buy, you need to know where to buy. So, people get so focused on the neighborhoods that already have everything that they completely miss the area about to explode in value. Let me give you a perfect example. Apex, North Carolina. A lot of folks moving here think Apex is just a cute small town on the outskirts. And sure, it's got that historic downtown charm, but what's missing is what's coming. The University of North Carolina just picked a 230-acre site in Apex for a brand new healthcare campus. This isn't some small clinic. We're talking about a top-tier facility that will house UNC Children's Services and bring major access to care for one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. And this is a game changer for Apex. So what's happening in Apex market right now? Well, Redfin data from September 25 shows that the median sale price in Apex is $575,000. Now that's down about 10% from last year, which means you're getting a buying opportunity in a growth area. The number of homes sold jumped over 31%, so demand is definitely there. The market is very competitive with a score of 70 out of 100. Think about it. You're buying in an area that's about to see massive development, better roads, and an influx of healthcare workers and families. And you're getting in at a price that comes down from its peak. That's what I mean by buy your home like you're going to sell it tomorrow. You want to think about what the next buyer will want. And when that hospital opens and Apex keeps growing, the next buyer is going to want to be there. Position yourself ahead of the curve instead of chasing it. Now, before we get into commute times, if you're serious about making your move to Raleigh and want personalized help finding the right neighborhood for your goals, shoot me an email at marti@martihampton.com. I work with buyers every day who are navigating these exact decisions. Mistake number 6 is not understanding commute times. Here's something that shocks transplants. Locals consider 30 minutes a very long commute. So if you're moving from Atlanta or DC or New York, you might be used to spending an hour or more each way. You see Raleigh on a map and it looks small and you think, oh, it's a 30-minute commute. Is nothing. But here's the reality. We don't commute in Raleigh. We live close to our work. And the average one-way commute in Raleigh is about 23.6 minutes, which is shorter than the national average of 26 minutes. So that sounds great, right? But if you're on the road during rush hour, that 23 minutes can easily turn into 30 or 45 minutes. So if you decide to live way outside the city to get more house for your money, you're looking at a 45-minute to an hour commute each way. Data from Texas A&M Transportation Institute shows that the average Raleigh resident lost about 42 hours to traffic in 2024, and that's a 14% jump from the year before. And you'll want to remember this commute data when you get to the investment section at the end, because location accessibility is a huge factor in long-term value. And there are specific times you definitely want to avoid. The absolute worst time to be on the road is Thursday at 5 o'clock. And in general, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 are rough, except for Mondays. Mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. are also tough, except for Mondays and Fridays. So here's what this means for you. When you're choosing where to live, you can't just look at the house. You need to map out your actual commute during peak hours. Drive it if you can. See what the traffic is like. Because if you bought a beautiful home in Clayton, North Carolina, but you work in Research Triangle Park, that's going to be a tough daily grind for you. And unlike cities with subways and trains, Raleigh is a car city. So we've got Go Raleigh buses and Go Triangle for connecting Durham to Chapel Hill, but there's no subway, there's no light rail. You're driving. Your daily drive shapes your quality of life more than square footage ever will. So choose a location first and then find the right house in that location. Mistake number 5 is choosing the wrong suburb. You know, 2 suburbs, $23,000 apart in price, are moving in opposite directions. Which one fits your 5-year plan? So you've decided to buy and you're focused on growth areas and you're thinking about your commute. Well, perfect. Now comes the next big decision, which suburb? And this is where people make another costly mistake. They choose based on price alone, without understanding that every suburb here has a completely different vibe, community feel, and a different lifestyle. So let me compare 2 of the most popular suburbs, Cary and Apex, so you can see what I mean. Cary is often called one of the most desirable suburbs in the entire triangle. It's polished, it's established, it's packed with things to do. SAS, the major software company, has its world headquarters there. And you've got Umstead Hotel and Spa, which houses Herons, a Forbes 5-star restaurant. The median sale price in Cary as of September 2025 is $598,000, which is up 3% from last year. The market there is somewhat competitive. It's a mature community and you're paying for the quality of life and that central location near Research Triangle Park. Apex has that historic small town charm mixed with rapid new growth. The median house price is $575,000, down almost 10% from last year, but the market is very competitive with way more homes selling. So which one do you choose? Well, if you want a neighborhood that's already has every amenity you can think of in more central location, Cary might be your spot. And if you're looking for a blend of old town charm and future growth potential, maybe even getting in before that UNC Health campus really impacts and transforms the area, Apex could be the better long-term play for you. Neither choice is wrong, but choosing blindly based on price or because someone told you everyone is moving to Cary without thinking about your actual lifestyle and goals, well, that's a mistake. So visit these suburbs, walk the downtowns, talk to the people, feel the vibe. You're buying into a community, and community fit matters as much as the house itself. Mistake number 4 is not understanding Southern hospitality. So the first time someone waved at me in traffic instead of flipping me off, I knew I wasn't in Atlanta anymore. If you're moving from a fast-paced northern city or somewhere like I did from Atlanta, you need to be ready ready for a cultural shift. Raleigh has what I call Southern hustle. People here are driven, ambitious, they work hard, but they're going to do it at a slightly different pace. And they're going to be a whole lot nicer about it. When I was younger, I worked in Atlanta. I used to drive 285 around the city like everybody else, giving hand signals that weren't exactly polite. And then I moved to Florida and got on the Sunshine State Parkway, and everybody started waving at me, and I thought I'd stepped into another world. That will be the shift you feel here. People are going to say hi to you when they pass you on the street. They're not going to honk the horn the second the light turns green. They're going to drive at a pace that might feel slow if you're used to aggressive city traffic. And honestly, it's one of my favorite things about living here. But if you're not ready for it, it can feel frustrating at times. So you might think politeness is slowness or that friendliness is faked. Well, it's not. It's just a different culture. And it's one of the reasons people love raising their families here. So if you're moving from the Northeast or a major metropolitan area, give yourself some time to adjust. Embrace it. The genuine friendliness here isn't a facade. It's how people actually live. And once you settle in, you're probably going to find yourself waving at strangers too. Mistake number 3 is not understanding the sports culture in our area. During March Madness, wearing the wrong color to the grocery store can start a conversation that lasts 20 minutes. So pick your team wisely. I'm serious. Basketball is a religion here. You've got Duke University, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and of course, NC State University, all within a short drive of each other. And this is the heart of one of the most intense rivalries in all of American sports. So if you move here and you don't understand that, you're going to feel like an outsider really fast. During basketball season, the entire region revolves around these games. So your co-workers are going to be talking about it. Your neighbors will have flags flying. Social events might get planned around game times, and people take their loyalty very seriously. So my advice, pick a team. I'm not saying you have to go all in right away, but at least have an opinion. Learn the history, watch a few games, get to know the culture. It's just not about sports, it's about community and identity here. So if you engage with the rivalry, even casually, you'll connect with people faster than any other cultural bridge you could build. Mistake number 2 is expecting a basement in your home. What works in Boston doesn't work in clay soil, and fighting geology is very expensive, all right? So here's a practical one that surprises a lot of people, especially those moving from the Northeast or the Midwest. You're not going to find many basements here. So when people from up north tour homes with me, one of the first questions is always, well, where's the basement? And the answer is, we didn't build one. So there's a few reasons for this. The soil here is dense, clay-based, which doesn't drain well. And that creates pressure on the foundation walls, and the basements end up leaking or flooding. It's a nightmare. In colder places, foundations have to be built below the frost line to keep the ground from shifting, and that naturally creates space for a basement. But Raleigh's weather is milder, so the frost line is much shallower. Deep foundations just aren't needed. And honestly, building a properly sealed and waterproof basement here is expensive, and it's way more cost-effective to build on a slab or crawl space. So now some newer homes are being built with basements, but they're not standard and they come at a premium. So if you're moving here expecting that you'll have a finished basement for storage or a home gym or extra living space, you'll need to adjust your expectations or specifically search for those rare homes that do have basements. Regional construction differences like this are just everywhere. Understanding them before you tour saves frustration and helps you appreciate what Raleigh homes offer instead of mourning what they don't. Mistake number 1 is not treating your home as an investment. This one principle changed how I advise every single buyer. Buy like you're selling tomorrow. I know that sounds strange. You're thinking, Marti, I'm buying a home to live in, not to flip. I get that. But here's the thing. Your home is probably one of the biggest financial things you'll ever own. And in a market as strong as Raleigh, it's an investment whether you think of it that way or not. This is a mistake I teased at the beginning, and it's one that costs people the most because it affects every single decision that we've talked about. Raleigh led North Carolina in job growth with 2.5% jump in the second quarter of 2024, beating the national average. That economic strength drives housing demand, and people want to be here. They'll keep wanting to be here. So when I say buy like you're selling tomorrow, I mean think about what the next buyer will value. Ask your agent. Don't just buy the house with the most square footage at the lowest price. Buy the best location that you can possibly afford, even if it means going below your budget to get that location. Let me show you what I mean with some real numbers. The median sale price in Raleigh overall is about $420,000, up just 1% from last year. But if you look at specific neighborhoods, the spread is huge. North Hills, which is a highly desirable in-town neighborhood, has a median sale price of $850,000, and it hasn't moved year over year, but it's held its value. Southwest Raleigh, on the other hand, has a median price of $356,000, and it's down almost 13% from last year. Now, if you're watching your budget and you see that Southwest Raleigh number, it might look tempting. But if you're thinking about resale, you need to ask yourself, why is it down 13%? What's happening in that area? Who's the future buyer going to be? Compare that to Cary, which is up 3%, or even Apex, which is down but sitting in a growth corridor with major development coming. Location drives long-term value. So here's what you should be thinking about when you buy. Number one, how close are you to major job centers like RTP or downtown Raleigh? Remember that commute data we talked about? That affects resale. Number two, school districts. Even if you don't have kids, areas with top-rated schools tend to hold better resale value. Number three, future development. Is there planned infrastructure, shopping centers, or parks that will make the area more desirable, like that UNC Health campus in Apex? Number four, neighborhood quality, the overall vibe, the walkability, and what the community offers. See how all this ties together, and every mistake that we covered, from timing to location to understanding the culture, all feed into this master principle. And if you buy with these three things in mind, you're setting yourself up to build serious equity. With 70 people moving to Wake County every day, there will always be a next buyer. Your job is to make sure that you own what they will want. That's how you turn a home purchase into a wealth-building asset. That's how you avoid losing those 6 figures I talked about at the beginning. And that's how you win in this market. So now you know what separates the people building wealth in Raleigh from the ones watching equity slip away. With 70 new residents arriving every day, the window for the best opportunities gets smaller every week. So if you're serious about making your move to Raleigh, and you want a personalized guidance on which neighborhoods match your investment goals and lifestyle, shoot me an email at marti@martihampton.com or check out the resources in the description below. I'm working with buyers right now who are locking in these growth area opportunities before the rest of the market catches on, and I'd love to help you do the same thing. So if you want to dive even deeper into Raleigh real estate, go ahead and click on the video on your screen right now. I'll see you there.